this idea of just how this module system works. I think that's what you were asking about, Brad, right? About these imports and just understanding
Yeah,
what you're doing,
I'll
right?
run the I'll run the npm install like from the documentation on the website, and then I'll try to put the paths in, and it just doesn't work. Like it just doesn't find the file or
What
whatever.
do you mean you'll try to put the paths in?
Well, you install it, right? And then you still have to
Yeah,
put a tag in the header.
the
But
importing it in the header. Yeah, yeah, okay.
that's what we're going to look at. So here's a typical widget that I've built. It's a pivot table, a new kind of an updated version of the one that I had done, that I had originally written about. And it uses the module method to do the work. I started a basic JS environment, and then I installed a couple things. I installed the Syncfusion library, do the npm install. That just lists them here as available. These libraries, everything about those libraries are in the node modules folder. I don't have to know anything about any of this stuff. I just know that it's in my node modules folder, and that means it's available for me to use for this work. A benefit of this method is, so Syncfusion is a huge library. It contains multiple widgets. It contains multiple controls. You can see there's buttons, calendars, charts, compression, data, dropdowns. All this stuff is installed into my project. But unless I do an import from one of these files, none of this gets bundled up when I deploy it to FileMaker. It's all going to be excluded. The bundling process will only include those files that I have specifically imported. So that's why some libraries will say, okay, we have a version called Tabulator. Tabulator is just the base. And if you want any additions, then you install those separately. Otherwise, we have something called Tabulator Full, which will include everything, even the stuff you're not using. So it's kind of an a la carte versus a buffet style, where you get everything or you get just what you want. But in this case, everything is installed, and now I can just import the parts of it that I want. And that's what I do. I don't do anything in my, I do have some CSS here that I imported from CDNs, but I don't need to, and I can remove these. But the purpose of putting them into this node modules folder is so now they're available to my index.js file to import them from that path. And that's what's good. So in this case, I'm importing a function called register license so that it knows my license. It's coming from the base. And I found this online and copied what they gave me. And then I knew that I needed the pivot stuff. So I imported the individual, in this case, these are components that I needed. Again, through the documentation, I'm importing these pieces from this library. And it's really just a matter of if the development environment is up to the task, we can import something, and it will do a good type ahead. So I could say import, I don't know, icon. So sometimes it's able to find what I'm trying. If I know the name of the component or the function that I want to import, VS Code is pretty good about finding it in my node modules folder. So that's kind of useful. And it does take some time to get used to, but it is possible. So here I'm importing, Brad.
Will you always import the JavaScript this way and not in the header of the HTML?
Yes.
Okay.
Because yes, I will do that because this is the node modules way. This is a CDN way. It's not something that I'm just not using that pattern anymore. These have to be all online. My file has to be able to reach the internet. All of this stuff is embedded into this file. And when I bundle it up, the code for this chart object will be bundled up here. So the CDN won't bundle it. It'll just, the CDN during the bundling process will just stay as a link to a site.
Jeremy, can you go back to your index.js? Because this is the other thing that's bit me before, is if you're going to use this and not go to the CDN, it's actually a script after the header, after as part of the body, where you're doing the import script type equals module, and then import that. If you don't do it there, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
You've got to have that as part of your index.html.
Oh, wait. Are you saying you add to it here, or you're just saying that has to be there?
That's that. You don't have to add to it all.
Right.
It's part of the JS.
Right.
So you usually don't have to play with this, but this has bit me before where I didn't realize that was foundational, and I deleted it or I modified it when I was learning, and then it was all breaking. I couldn't figure out why.
Can I send you some documentation and you can just
Let's do it.
So this is Shoelace, which I've talked to you about before. It's just it's like Bootstrap or whatever. It's like but here I couldn't get to work anywhere anyway. But here you see right there, they have that in there. Yep. So I tried to copy in the relative path and that didn't seem to work. But should I have used an import still? Or
yeah, so that's how I would do this. I would, let me see here. So bundling is distributed as a collection of ES modules. That's what you want to look for, the word ES modules that all modern browsers can understand. So this would be all in my index.js file.
Okay.
Because I have...
And you'd have to replace that path or no?
What do you mean replace the path? I see.
At Shoelace style?
You could copy it. These are the CSSs. Okay, I see what it's doing. It would be okay. I think it would be safe. Well, let's just do it. It would be safe to put all of this just directly into your index.js because these paths should be common. It should know, I'm going to look in the node modules folder at shoelace-style and then the rest of this. So
you shouldn't have to tell it node modules.
There's only a couple times when you have to. Actually, let me think about that. Good question. This might not suffice. Let's try it and see. There's a couple possibilities.
And basically you need to include those imports, those bundling imports at the top of any component that uses Shoelace, correct? Unless you do prop drilling.
So set base path is let's see. What is Shoelace anyway?
It's just formatting, like I said, kind of like what's the one that you use that has the curved corners everywhere? Yeah, it's just this stuff. It's just CSS. Okay. Yeah.
Do I have a Shoelace? Let me see if I have a Shoelace. No, I don't. Wait, what else am I doing? Open recent.
Like Tailwind, I guess is what.
Yeah. Don't have it. I think.
Brad, is it's a component library?
Yeah. But I mean, it's just a component library that I was having trouble with. But I mean, it's emblematic of anything like this, right?
So once you were able to do the HTTP, the CDNs, you got it to work, correct?
I did, but then it broke, and now I can't get anything to work.
Yeah, okay. That's the story of my life. All right, so let's do something here. I think I have
because that's the other thing with using a CDN method, Brad, is that CDN is also always going to be the latest version. And so if you want to manage version control and make your product stable over time and not be subject to possibly breaking changes, doing an import, the way Jeremy said in the environment means that will never change until you import it again and recompile, right? So that's why I always stayed away from CDNs because I didn't have control over the updates.
In the actual JS. And okay, so
let me go
Yeah.
through this and see if we can get it to work. So I've installed it here into this project. I'll just start this up so we can see hopefully the changes in real time. Open up.
so do you?
Yep. What?
So you added it to the package. That's what you were saying before.
Yeah, by installing it, by doing the npm install, that adds it as a dependency.
Oh, it does automatically. Okay.
It does automatically, and now it's in the what's in here.
Right, I find it over there. Yeah.
Okay. So let's continue on here. Let's see who it. Let's see. Okay. All right. So let's see here. So then the documentation says to so, okay. So autoloader CDNs. It says it's the easiest, maybe, but that's because it's maybe an older. Okay. So now what it's telling us here, yeah, okay. So it's saying I have some CSS for you as part of this package, but this is going to be in my HTML. So I do have to do this a little bit differently. I'm going to copy this and I'm going to put it into my index.html. CSS is really the only thing that you have to put in your HTML. That's a bad thing to say. CSS can be put in the HTML in the head tag. So I've got a style here, tag, and I'm going to actually do an @import. And then, so here I have to do node modules. And then the rest of it is the shoelace dist themes. So shoelace /
There it is.
So there it is. So it actually helped me find it. So that
You
should
need
be
both those.
This is mine. So this is like my basic style.
Right. You're right.
I don't need any of that if I don't have any basic styles, but sometimes it's good to have, like the colors be what you want it to be. So.
Yeah. You can you cascade or chain together CSS files like you do, but it's just not practice like
No, you can import both of these, and then if both of these have an H1 tag, this one is going to override.
No, I mean
you put in yours.
Can you import the shoelace one into your style.css or no? That doesn't with style CSS.
No, you don't import it into a CSS.
Yeah, you can stack them together. Yeah.
So sometimes I'll go in here if I'm not getting this to work, it's telling me there's a problem. So sometimes this is the hard part. So I'll come in here and I'll go to that path themes and I'll just copy one. Let's do the light. So I'll copy relative path and then I'll paste that into this. And now, okay, so now it's working. All right. So now anything that I put in here for this that deals with the shoelace will have the light theme applied to it. So let's see, what could I put in there? Let's see, do I have anything else? So it's telling me, okay.
If you do like SL button, I think, or something.
Okay. So there is some JavaScript. So this is where I would do the import. So, okay, so here's what's tricky is that it's telling you can import it via CSS. That might work. I'm not going to worry about that at the moment. I'm going to just import the rest of these. I've already imported my CSS into this project via the HTML file. This might work, but I haven't
import that into the JavaScript file.
Yeah, so it's going to tell me you want to put this into your JavaScript file. So I'm gonna do that. Go over back to VS Code.
Then you could import the CSS too. You said
what, Brad?
You could import the CSS file into your JavaScript file. Is that what it's saying?
We're going to try. It's telling me that I can. I haven't had great success with that, but that is not because it's just, we'll see if it works. But for now, what I like to do, I guess I just keep in my head, I'm going to go ahead and import the CSS into the HTML file this way. And then any JavaScript files will be imported into my index.js file.
Okay.
Jeremy, you didn't copy the base URL. Was there a reason that you
Nope.
didn't copy that one?
I wanted to copy it separate. So,
Okay.
all right. So I'm importing these, and so far I'm not getting any errors down here. I'm always watching this to see if I'm getting any errors. I don't know what this means, so I'm gonna press it. It seems to know, because that's what you have to do. What does it say? It says, set the base path to the folder you copied this shoelace's assets to. What? I don't understand that. Set the base path.
Wouldn't that be your node folder?
It is, yeah, because it figured that out.
Yeah.
I guess there's a function inside of this library that sets the base path so that every component will be able to use.
Well, yeah, that's the errors I was getting. Said it couldn't find whatever I was looking for.
All right, so let's see. Oh, it's interesting. It's telling me. Interesting. Okay. All right, so let's just put something in there. Let's start with a button. That's always what I start with. HTML, that's what it is. SL button, SL button. So now I'm going to go back to my HTML and import that in. Actually, I'll do this. What was it?
SL-1. Yep.
Boom,
Yeah,
at
look, that worked. Okay. So now I have their styles applied to mine. If I wanted to, let's do this. And then rerun it, maybe. I don't know why that didn't. Yeah, I'll go back to the light. That's fine. All right, good. So now I can SL. What are my SL button variants? Okay, so I have variants. So now I can do variant equals what? Danger? Maybe I didn't pay attention to. Yep, danger works.
Yep.
Okay.
Thanks.
Cool. All right. So now I can build something with these in my HTML, or I can use JavaScript to add them. But
I made that
Right,
way
because you
harder
could
than
you
it
could
had
put
to
those
be.
in your JSX, right?
yeah, it's interesting. Okay, so look at that. So if this index.html contains the CSS, it also contains the script tag, which is importing my index.js. If I don't have these imports into my index.js, then it doesn't work. Even if I import these, okay, that works because I'm importing JavaScript that is doing something to turn this button into what I need it to look like. Oh, that's because I've got the button component here. So if I wanted to do it, let's do a checkbox. I don't know. Would that work? Do I have to install the checkbox? I bet I have to install the checkbox. Yeah, so checkbox, it looks like checkbox. So now I need to come into my index.js, copy this, and then do probably checkbox maybe. There we go. Look at that. So the JavaScript is causing this to change its look. That makes it useful. Cool. So now, so what I would do is, so then yes, let's just create something quick. Let's see if AI will help me. Create a, let's see, add 6 checkbox components to the main div using a shoelace styling. See what it will do. Yep. Okay. So we've got the div. Okay, so it's adding a div. I'm going to do this. Okay, that worked. So what it's doing is it's adding to my body, it's adding a main div, and then it's creating an element, SL checkbox. It's setting the checkbox's HTML with whatever I want, and then it's appending it to the main div, this thing, and then it appends all of that to the entire body. So now I've got all of these ready to go. So yeah, that seems to work. So the importing is the key to this. And it's just tricky to know. Okay, let's go back to the CSS. Let's try the CSS and see if that'll work. So I'll disable that, and then I'm gonna it doesn't. I don't like that. It doesn't like that. So I'll just delete it. Delete. All right. So now I've got a beautiful site. Let's do an import of the CSS. So import. Let's see. Shoelace. No, I forget what it was. I wish I had saved it. Let's see. Shoelace dash style shoelace dist themes. All right. So shoelace at on dist themes. I don't know. Did that work? No, that didn't work because I think that's the wrong thing. So what I would do in this case is I would go to the shoelace style, shoelace dist themes, copy this. Actually, let's try to get that, copy the relative path and paste that in here. Oh, that's why. I'm silly. Don't need this. I might not need it. I might. And get rid of that front. So that doesn't. Let's try node modules. In React, this works. You can import CSS into React files. modules. No, it doesn't like that. Nope. I don't know why the CSS can't be imported. I vaguely remember this always being a problem, but I guess I have a solution for it in that I just put the CSS into the HTML in the style tag in the head where it belongs. So that's what this whole import does. One last thing about the import, I could turn this into a function. So I'll call this const create checkboxes equals. Now nothing's run, and then I'll do create checkbox, and now it runs. I can put this into a separate file. So I'm going to call it a create checkbox.js. Create that, and then export that. And then I can import it into here. Import create checkbox from create checkbox, and now it's going to work just fine. So the function can be written anywhere, and I can import it into this main file. And
now could you run all your shoelace imports into that file you just created instead of here?
Sure. No? Yeah. If that's a great idea. Yeah. Let's do that. So let's get rid of the checkbox in here. Because this checkbox, create checkbox file is focusing on the checkbox itself, then I can put that in here, and let's just reload it to make sure. Yeah, so it's working just fine. That keeps components separate, right? So global things like buttons, you may want to just put it into the main file and then create buttons in other files and be okay with this stuff. As I think about it, I would prefer to have this in the other one, but you can do this too. Yeah. I would prefer to have it over there because it's just all of my imports. And in case I use a checkbox somewhere else, I don't have to import it over there as well into another file. So
sure.
Yeah. So this is interesting. I haven't played with this. Does it have a grid? Nope, it doesn't have a grid. So I'd have to find something else to, spacing. No, I was trying to organize these things a little bit better, but yeah. Okay. So that's the process. That's how I'm doing it. Importing the CSS into the CSS in the HTML into the style tag, then importing all of the JavaScript. It's interesting that this stuff is not necessary. I'm not sure what this is for. I'll have to read about that, but I'm able to get it to work without it. So And all of this is
I
working
appreciate
together. Yeah, yeah. So if I remove this button, import my button, and this is all of its where it's styling. So yeah.
Yeah, and then once the inspector shows like an error in some obscure CSS file somewhere, I'm like, yeah, I don't, I don't know. You know what I mean? Like it'll, because it's trying to find its path back.
Yeah, don't you should never have to open up another file. Your
Right.
issue is with what you wrote and the passing that you created in your index.html or your index.js file. Cool.
Yeah. Cool.
So this import is what I would consider more efficient because I'm not having to create a field for all of these, copy all the code into those, and then do a substitution. I can just let the bundler handle it and do everything that it's supposed to do. So
Yeah.
cool. Oh, precision. Interesting. Okay. Cool. All right. Well, that's a little bit. That's a little interesting. That's a lesson about importing. Any questions about this?
Makes a lot of sense. It's just weird how like those little things get me. But
Yeah,
keep
but
learning.
they become fairly second nature the more you do this. I know you don't do it every day, but that's why we try to keep this as simple as possible. Any other questions about the importing idea? Okay, that's all of my files are that way. I am importing the CSS, you can see that. So that's just, here I'm using it from a CDN, and then I'm just importing all that stuff, and I'm importing some sample data from a file. And if I write any external functions, I'm going to import it into this project as well, into this file as well. All right. That is importing. That was a lot, but you introduced me to something new to play with. So now I'll take a look.